Good news, everybody. This is Wolf Horror coming directly to you through the power of the internet via this wobble. uh, Wobbable. Wubba lubba dub dub. This lovable website called YouTube. Uh, this is going to be just a general news update. Uh, First and foremost, I didn't write it down in my notes, but in a previous video, it was stated that this came through so many different network channels, was this piece of misinformation, and only one or two caught the mistake, and I did not. But it was said that Sony was potentially allowing developers to charge for the PS4 Pro update patch on their games. So if you bought a game and you wanted to update it to the PS4 Pro mode to make the game better, it was thought by many different news outlets that in the interview, Mr. Itoy, not Itoy, I think it's Itoy. I can't. Japanese is just crazy. Uh, anyways, in the interview, they mistranslated what he said, and they then believed that the general consumer paid the fee. However, a few outlets picked up on this and had it retranslated, and then contacted Sony directly and got back confirmation that no, the general consumer is not paying for the update on the patch. The developer would do that, and that is a normal policy whenever a video game developer wants to patch a new game or update it. They have to pay a fee to Sony, Microsoft, or Nintendo, whoever runs and controls the ecosystem in which the game is running on, for that update patch. So, in fact, you do not have to pay for the update patch for the PS4 Pro mode on old games. The video game developers will do that. However, let's run this train of thought down, considering the fact that the developer makes the patch and has to pay to have it tested, certified for that it's good, and directly sent out to the gamers, directly to you, and to update your game, may cause many developers to not put the time into making a patch so they can update the game so it can run at higher frame rate and better resolution on the PS4 Pro. Now on to a second point. Guerilla, various people at Guerilla Games actually stated that the PS4 Pro doesn't actually affect or improve the quality of the game as far as graphics and detail is concerned. So, okay. Now, on to the third piece of news. It has popped up again recently for a trademark filing that the Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild, that the term cartridges shows up in the trademark for Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild, as well as downloadable electronic game and other tags and associations. Also, discs, video game discs as well, and that would most likely be for the Wii U version. But the term cartridges pops up again for Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild. That is the first game we know about for the Nintendo Wii U for sure. That is going to be our little thing we can look at and kind of say, the Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild is the window into the Wii U. So many, whatever theories or hypotheses, let's be straight to the scientific process here. Hypothesis or hypotheses you want to create around the Nintendo NX, you have to then consider how does that frame up with Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild. So, as it's to be noted, I will include a link to an article on this below. This was found by All Games Delta on Twitter. Alright. And on to the fourth. Is that the fourth? The fourth. May the fourth be with you, okay? Kingdom Hearts 2.8 has been delayed to 2017. The date in which it's been delayed to is January 24th, 2017 for the English version, and January 12th for the Japanese version. I am not going to be like HMK. I'm gonna not like, oh god, or like so many other people. This is Kingdom Hearts 2.8. This is an updated version of 2.5 with a few extra things, some more extra stuff thrown in, polished a little bit, and resold back to you. I'm not gonna get all twisted up about it. It's just another game. I have thousands of them already. I'm not gonna get tied up in it. I could go ahead and do a Let's Play series of one game each day, and I would not run out of games for at least 2 or 3 years. This is including not playing the same game on the same system twice. I have more than enough games. I'm not going to get all twisted up about a updated re-release on the PS4. Now, what this is also entailing is a few theories popping around about the whole only one Kingdom Hearts game a year kind of thing, which is interesting, and however that relates to Kingdom Hearts 3, but I only partially played through first Kingdom Hearts, so why am I only partially started into first Kingdom Hearts. I'm not terribly concerned about Kingdom Hearts 3. I still have to play through Kingdom Hearts on the PlayStation 2. I only got started. Also, the second thing into this is that the January pushback, the pushback from December to January, could potentially pushes it closer to the Nintendo NX release, which is March 17th. It also brings it closer to the tolerance range if, say, Kingdom Hearts 2.8 was being released for the Nintendo NX as a launch title. It would be closer to the launch, the PS4 version would be closer to the launch release date of the Nintendo NX, and the Nintendo NX, it would be in that magical window where Nintendo announces the Nintendo NX, they announce Kingdom Hearts 2.8 as part of the Nintendo NX launch lineup. People could stop and say, do I want to play it on the PlayStation 4 or the NX? You know what? I will shift my pre-order from the PlayStation 4 to the NX version. And it perfectly works out. Now, if it was December or November that the game was Kingdom Hearts 2.8 was coming out, then you end up with a situation where the people have already received already have received or within a month of getting Kingdom Hearts 2.8 from when Nintendo potentially announces it. A month or two, it's a gray zone because Nintendo doesn't quite tell us when they're gonna announce the Nintendo X. There's a lot of these rumors. There's tying to GameStop Expo and TGS and the potential October announcement or even November announcement. The favored one is the October announcement. So, there. But, as I was saying before, pushing it back to the January window would at least bring it within that 3-month window of the NX launch, where people could say, you know what, I could just slide it over to the NX version, and it's no big deal. And that'll work out. Also, it's not officially an old game. Well, it is an old game because it's already an updated version of a previous one, but a previous collection and stuff like that. But who am I to judge? But yeah, it just potentially snugs up to the NX. There is that potentiality of Square Enix pushing it just close enough to the NX launch that they could announce it for the Nintendo NX, and people could decide between the PS4 and the NX version and go to the NX or just stay with the PS4. Or they could buy both. There's also potentially a possibility that it was pushed back to actually, Sony told Square Enix, hey, move it back so you can actually nudge in on the Nintendo NX launch. Just reduce the fundage of people a little bit. That is also a possibility. And that is basically the end of my Kingdom Hearts 2.8 delay news and hypotheses. I'm actually going to use the word hypothesis, not theory. Everyone misuses theory. Theory is a comprehensive concept that has been tested out repeatedly. Has been tested multiple times. The facts support a theory. There is no such thing as a law. The term law, like the law of gravity, is an obsolete combination term. It is the theory of gravity. It's the theory of thermodynamics. It's theory of evolution. Get your scientific jargon straight, okay? So, yet again, on to the PlayStation 4, the NX, Xbox Scorpio, PlayStation Slim, PlayStation 4 Slim, the Xbox One S. Xbox One S has currently been released. Many sales numbers, early sales numbers, and statements by various store heads and people like that state that the Xbox... I got interrupted. If I remember correctly, I'm already done with, by the way, all my bullet points, so I am just going entirely by memory from now forward. Or I was going by memory after I got off the Kingdom Hearts thing, but I was talking about the Xbox One S, and that many sales analysts and store heads and managers, people like that, have pointed out, first and foremost, that sales are up on the Xbox One S, and that improved substantially the total number of sold Xbox Ones and helped Microsoft beat out Sony for the past 2 months on sales. So, there we go. However, it's been stated by the head of GameStop and a few others that general sales of consoles and various other gaming devices, except for PC add-ons, because those people are always buying add-ons, that all those other sales are down, particularly since the announcement of the Xbox One S and the Scorpio since E3, but also potentially the rumors of the Nintendo NX coming up. People are just like, well, there's a new video game system coming up. I was going to buy this, but I'm going to do this thing called wait. Crazy enough as it is. I'm a fiddler, by the way. Tiniest fiddle. But, anyways, they have decided to, many of the consumers have decided to wait to see whatever they want to see coming forward, and what they, from the point of the Xbox One S announcement and the PlayStation Scorpio and the Nintendo NX announcement, because there was a reduction in sales in Wii U's, Xbox Ones, and PlayStation 4s since the increase in news and rumors about the Nintendo NX. So there's that little down trickle, but it was still, Sony and Microsoft were still moving along. Now that great deal of that trickle in sale, that continuum of sales, has decreased even more so since the Xbox One S and Scorpio have been announced, and potentially will slow down even more so leading up to the release of the PlayStation 4 Slim next month, and the release of the PlayStation 4 Pro, which is, the PS4, this is just a quick reminder that the PS4 Slim is for the 15th of September, which is this month, and the PS4 Pro is for the 10th of November, which is also the same date as the Nintendo NES Classic Edition, if I remember correctly. But that has all caused shifts in sales. My general theory, and many other gaming YouTubers and other people in the watch, is the Slim is going to not sell that well, and the Pro is just underpowered, and people are most likely going to hold out towards to see what the NX is about, and potentially wait for the Xbox One, Project Scorpio, and what else is coming. My official perspective on this is that going forward, the Xbox One S will sell quite well. It won't sell like gangbusters, but it will sell well, and it will narrow the gap between Microsoft and Sony. However, the PlayStation 4 Pro will re-lengthen that gap. Now, the question is that whether that gap is going to be same or equivalent as it was before, and I'm not entirely certain. However, there is a very good possibility that the PS4 Pro will not re-accelerate the PlayStation 4 brand or family of systems fast enough to make up for the gain that Microsoft is going to get with the Xbox One S, largely due to the fact that many people are still looking towards the Xbox One Scorpio further down in the future, and only the few people that are going this direction are going to push it forward, and the people who are, say, like what Sony is pointing out with the PlayStation 4 Pro, wanting the best quality graphics, the most power for their system, those people are still going to shift towards PC, and a good portion of them may wait out for the Xbox One Scorpio. However, there's also the wild card in this game called Nintendo that might make a mess of this whole situation. Uh, we still don't know exactly what Nintendo is up to. There are many rumors, but all things considered, you can never count Nintendo out. Sony has recently been screwing up and irritating the crap out of various individuals, uh, not allowing mods for Fallout 4 and Skyrim Special Edition, uh, some push-offs of various games, No Man's Sky, a Paul issue, uh, the fact that the PlayStation 4 Pro is not a substantial upgrade and is not even the most well-rounded upgrade of the mid-generation versions of systems. That title would have to go to the Xbox One S, which, face it, is the new standard for the Xbox One. And there is this thing called the PlayStation 4 Slim, which is just like, huh? The question is, why bother bringing out the PlayStation 4 Slim if you have the PlayStation 4 Pro coming over the hill? And one of my hypotheses, is that the PlayStation 4 Slim was planned. Okay? The PS4 Pro was not. The PS4 Pro may have actually just been a kind of possibility that Sony then realized when the rumors of the Nintendo NX started getting more hyperactive, and the leaks of information for the Xbox One S started popping up through the developer networks. Now, remember that Sony, Nintendo, and Microsoft have relationships with Capcom, Square Enix, EA, the various other companies, and those development teams learn about things that are going on in other systems, ecosystems. So it is quite possible that Sony was moving along. Sony did not plan the PlayStation 4 Pro, and many of the execs and many of the people at Sony started hearing about this rumor about this thing called the Xbox One S, and it's like, okay, that's an update. Let's get on our PlayStation 4 Slim. And then they started hearing about the series of upgrades in the S, and then the bit of information about the Xbox One Scorpio. And then when they got to the Scorpio, that they heard that there was a new version of the Scorpio, and then the S is also upgraded in various ways. Sony then immediately turned and said, we have to upgrade our PlayStation 4 Slim, because please note the fact that the PlayStation 4 Slim kind of looks like the PS4 Pro with an extra layer on top. It's like they basically started with one design and then, okay, we put our time into this. All of a sudden, now we have to make our system better. And what they did was make simple upgrades to the system, not exactly knowing what the Xbox One S was going to be, and not exactly knowing what the Xbox One Scorpio is going to be. So Sony kind of like double this, kick up that, round that up, dirt simple stuff, and things that don't take terribly much time to rework the math. It's just simple multiplication and a uptick in various capabilities, and said, okay, that is our PlayStation 4 Pro. Oh, and they started into that, and that is also why it's just behind the Slim in release. But this could also be very on the point why when Sony announced the PlayStation 4 Slim and the PlayStation 4 Pro, why people watching the Sony meeting, the PlayStation meeting, felt like there was no energy. The Sony guys essentially knew they were behind, and they miscalculated the trajectory of the Xbox One S, and the Xbox One S has already happened, and the Scorpio is coming, and the Sony guys are basically stuck with what they could do at that moment, and they feel crappy about it. Not to mention whatever is leaking through the developer channels about the Nintendo NX. Sony basically then put on a mask, a marketing mask, and tried to hype people up, but they ultimately know that they're in shit. The reality is that is a fly that was just annoyed the crap out of me. There is a reality that Sony knows more about the Nintendo NX and the Xbox Scorpio than we do. And their lack of energy, in spite of the smiley face that they try to put on in the PlayStation meeting on the September 7th, indicates that they feel that they have miscalculated and have failed on a fundamental level, but they are stuck with what they have because it's what they have. They don't have the time, they don't have the money. They need to get the PlayStation 4 Pro out now or soon. They'll probably try to get it out now, but they can't do that in production because it came later than the PlayStation 4 or Slim. And they know that NX is coming over the hill. And then they also know that Xbox One Scorpio is coming further down the line. And it's basically the Sega Dreamcast scenario, or we could go with the Sega Saturn scenario, where Sony realized that their competitors may have a bullet with their name on it, and that Sony needs to get the PlayStation 4 Pro out now, or something in that vein, because they probably didn't have the PlayStation 4 Pro at that time. They probably just developed the PS4 Pro really quickly to bring it out so they could dampen the NX and build up another hedge against Xbox One Scorpio. The problem is a lot of people on the internet kind of saw this reality coming a reality, and Sony realizes, various people in Sony realize that this is a actual thing. People are like, the PS4 Pro is actually, it's a nice upgrade for the PlayStation 4, but it is not a serious upgrade for the PlayStation 4. And there's some lacking components and details about it that, but there's this really interesting, this mysterious system called the Nintendo NX that is coming in March, And then there is this behemoth of a this mighty monster of a console called the Xbox Scorpio that is coming in late in 2017. And Sony knows that they're in a bad position, and they are just simply going to try like Sega, get it out now, try to sell a ton of these PlayStation 4 Slims and Pros, and hope that all they don't get just ambushed and beaten the snot out of by Nintendo and Microsoft. Whether this is absolutely dead on point, I do not know, but it kind of gets with the vibe that came from the PlayStation meeting, and the fact that Sony really tried really hard to sell HDR 4K, HDR 4K, HDR 4K, even though that the PlayStation 4 Pro can do HDR, but it really can't do 4K. It kind of fakes doing 4K. It fakes doing it fairly well, but in the case of Xbox One Scorpio, there's no chance it's gonna just beat the snot out of Sony's PlayStation 4 brand. Straight up. The mystery with the Nintendo NX is like, who knows? Sony recently moved their whole PlayStation division, their headquarters, their whole planning and everything to the United States. They have made the PlayStation system a American console brand, and there's only just the remnant of the PlayStation of Japan, Sony of Japan, PlayStation team of Japan, SOJ of Sony of Japan teams. Why does that all sound just like awkward? Sony of Japan. Could be Sony of Japan, Sony PlayStation division of Japan. Well, it's just basically a small group of teams. It's just one of those really corporate kind of naming things that kind of comes off awkward when you think about it. It's kind of bland, but there's only basically there's only a small group of developers, first party, that are still in Japan. Most of Sony's efforts as far as console side is in the United States. We will see. We will learn what is going to happen. The next ripple, next disturbance in the force will either come when Nintendo announces the Nintendo NX, what it is, what it can do, how much toast it can toast, and then the other potential ripple is when the PlayStation 4 Pro comes out. Well, you could say the PlayStation 4 Slim comes out, but I don't really seriously see that the PS4 Slim is going to be that monumental of a thing. It's going to sell. It's going to sell to the people who do not pay attention to the video gaming news. It's going to be the people who go into the store and just, I want to buy a video game system for Timmy. I'm going to get that because it's small. Of course, they would buy the Ouya. If the store clerks put Sega Dreamcasts in there, put a bunch of games in there, and put them cheaply enough, Timmy's getting a Dreamcast. Well, thank you very much for watching my video. Please consider hitting that little button that says subscribe if you have not subscribed already, and give me a chance, and try to consider checking out some of my older videos, seeing if I cover new subjects that tickle your fancy. and every little bit helps, you know. Thank you so much. So long, and thank you for all the fish.